We're back. Hey, it's Eric Noel, the real estate guy. I'm here with my man, Ben Johnston. Let's get it going here, man. Just wanted to thank you guys for showing up again at the Sacramento Real Estate Show. We appreciate you guys. We wanted to let you know that we appreciate everybody that tuned in last week. Appreciate all the comments. Thank you. We appreciate it very much. If you ever have any questions, don't hesitate to DM us or call us or send us a quick text message because really we want to discuss what you guys want to hear. Ben, my man, how are you today, man? How was your weekend?
I'm doing well. It was a great week, very busy. Last weekend, we got some painting done at the house. I mentioned that in last week's show. So, yeah, it's good.
That's good, man. Good. So I don't know if you're a football fan, but you know what? Hey, man, it's preseason. You know, being that we first stringers, man, the Raiders played yesterday, so we got that W. Um, I'm starting the week off right. Football is back, man. I'm ready to see some touchdowns, some interceptions. You know, I'm ready for all that. I'm ready. I'm ready to get it going.
Yeah, absolutely, man. They're looking good. And yeah, I got a fantasy football draft at the end of this month, so it's go time.
Yes, sir. Hey, so right now, if you're a buyer and you're thinking about buying and kind of concerned about the market, you're in the right place. If you're a seller and you're not sure if right now is the right time to sell, stay tuned. We get some answers for you. Also, if you're just curious and you just kind of are a bystander on the sidelines and you just love watching HGTV, hey, we're the closest thing to it right now on Facebook. So, Ben, let's get right into it, man. I was thinking when you talked about how you purchased your home
Mhm.
in that real estate game, how you gave us some game about, um, buying your first home, knowing that it wasn't your 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 perfect home or your
Yeah.
forever home, and you used that to kind of level up. It got me thinking, like, what about in the investor standpoint, right? You're in your first home, but you bought it years ago, a couple of years ago, let's say 4 or 5 years ago. So you definitely have some, I would say not definitely, but it's probably a good chance you got some equity, right? With all
Yeah.
the way that the home's been appreciating lately. So let's say you wanted to start your real estate portfolio, right? You already
Mhm.
own a home and you want to get you a piece of investment property. Kind of talk to us about what that would look like.
Yeah, that's a great question. To build a real estate portfolio, one of the best strategies that you can use is to buy that first home as an owner occupied property. So, what that means when it comes to financing is you're able to buy a house for as little as 3, maybe 5% down. And that's a special program for your first home. So, once you live in that home for a year, you're actually eligible to purchase a second property also with a 5% down payment. So that's probably the best way and the easiest way to get into building a real estate portfolio if you're interested in having rentals, because again, you buy the first one maybe 3% down, and then after a year you can buy a second one and rent out that first house as long as the numbers make sense to cover your mortgage, and then you can have that tenant pay down that house for you, right? And then you move
Yeah.
into the new one with your 5% down payment. So for somebody that bought in the last 5 years, or even 2 years, the market's gone up a lot. Um, Somebody that's been in a home for over a year, they could look at the numbers to see if it makes sense to go ahead and buy that second property with 5% down. because they might be able to access some of that equity in the house that they purchased previously, right? So if you have enough equity, there's a couple different ways you can actually take money out to put down on the new house. So a pretty cool strategy for building long-term wealth, you know?
Man, that makes sense, man. I wish I would have knew these things when I got started, to be completely honest. Um,
Yeah.
at the time I sold my house, and like I said, I only paid 80 grand for it, put 500 down through the HUD program. Um, if I could have held on to that, I would still have it to this day. Man, cash flow is important. So speaking of that, that's great. By the way, thank you for sharing. Let's talk about the first time home buyer, right? Um, Once again, you don't know what you don't know until you learn it. And I didn't. It took me to pick up the book Rich Dad Poor Dad to kind of figure some of this stuff out. That real estate is like truly like the game of Monopoly. Let's be honest. The more you own, the better off you are. So let's talk about a first-time home buyer situation. So let's say you're just getting started. I recommend, not to say that everybody can do this. I mean, because it depends upon where you start, and all first-time home buyers aren't in the same situation.
Yep.
Um, but let's say you're a young couple just starting off. Um, I always say, man, buy a multi-unit first. I mean, you can start off with a fourplex. Um, you live in one, you have three tenants,
Mhm.
or even something like a duplex. Where you live in one side and you got tenants on the other side. What would that situation look like, or that scenario?
Yeah, that's a great strategy. So, rents are going up, right? I don't see
Yep.
rents
Yep.
going down anytime soon. So, once
Not
you get
yet,
into,
man. Not yet.
yeah, I mean, every client that I talk to, first time home buyers, it's like, how long have you been renting? And I just ask them, how many times has your rent gone down? Right. I mean, some people have been locked into pretty good rates for a while, but it seems like those are starting to go up slowly but surely. Right. Um,
So
so,
before you mention that, just so you know, like when I was renting, um, what they would do is if you stay, so always want you to sign the lease, right? They want to make sure that you're cash flowing. So this is a lesson to new landlords as well. So what they would do is every 2 years increase the rent
Mhm.
by 5%. So it's like I started off, I believe, at around 1,400, and before we left, I was paying about 2,300. That's with utilities and everything. So, I mean, my mortgage now is uh, 2,200. So just so you know.
Yeah,
uh,
I mean, that's great information. That's great context. There's a company and it's the largest single family owner company in the country. So it's a, excuse me, property management company. They own the most single family rentals out of anyone. And their statistics are for renewal leases, they're up on average of 6%. So similar to what you were talking about. But for people that moved out and then someone new moving into that property, those contracts are going up 12%. So it's
wow.
going up pretty quickly. And a lot of times with special programs, we can get people into a home for less than what a first and last month's rent would cost with some of the special programs. So, um, yeah, I think buying a multi-unit property is a great opportunity. You can live in one, like you said, and rent out the other units. Some loans even let you use the rental income that's going to generate to help you qualify for the mortgage. So,
Okay, so let's slow it down for the listeners, right?
yeah,
Our audience here. So your first time home buyer, you and your significant other, right? You're looking around, you decide, you know what, let's do the fourplex.
yeah,
But you have the down payment, you have the closing costs, um, but your income is a little, you're just starting off. You know what I mean? So it may not be where it needs to be. Are you telling me that you can use the renters that are currently in that unit's income to help you qualify?
correct. So
Okay.
someone might see a property and they think, oh, that might be too expensive. I don't qualify for that payment based on the price and everything. Well, when you buy a multi-unit property, specifically with FHA, when they appraise that property, they give the property a value, but they also do what's called a rental survey. And they're going to look at similar properties in that same area, and they're going to put a fair market rent number that each one of those units could bring you each month, and
Okay.
we can use that rental number to help offset the payment. So, it'll help you qualify for more money, more than you could qualify for just on your own for a single unit property, right?
Hey man, that's what I'm talking about. And
Mhm.
we know this, but it's good to let our audience know,
Yeah.
because they may see a duplex that may be 400,000 right now, and look like, man, I can't afford that kind of payment. Not
Yeah.
knowing that if there's current tenants in there, you can use that income to help you qualify for that property and cash flow. Hopefully, that's a goal, into your next property, right?
Yeah.
Um, so that's great, man. Thank you, Ben. With the rise in foreclosures that are going on, who knows? There may be opportunity on the horizon.
Yeah, because real estate investing strategy, part of that is having the real estate kind of pay for itself. So your first property, it might not be that way right away. But like you said, if you can have a duplex with a tenant that's paying half your mortgage, that's a good head start to be able to try to build that wealth.
Yeah, man, the game of Monopoly, it's all over, but it's real life here. So,
Yeah.
okay, let's stick with first-time home buyers, right? What
Okay.
are some programs that are available right now that can help a first-time home buyer get into their first home?
So the ones that stand out to me, there's three. The first one is a newer program through Cal HFA, and you may have heard of it. It's called the Equity Builder Program.
Okay,
And this is a really, really great program. Um, it might not apply to the investment strategy, with the 1 year timeline, but check this out. So, Cal HFA, it's a state entity, and they'll actually give the buyer 10% of the purchase price of the house. And if they stay in that house for 5 years, they forgive that money as a grant. So we've run some scenarios on this, and we've had clients pre-approved for a $400,000 home, and they're coming out of pocket like $2,000 only, which, like I
really?
said, that's cheaper than first and last month's rent on some places, right? So you get the 10%, it gets you in the home, and then you live there for a while. If you do move out, you have to pay some of that back, but a great, great program. It's the largest amount of down payment assistance that I've seen, being at 10% of the property value. Um, Cal HFA has two other programs. The My Home program, that program gives you 3% of the purchase price. And then they all actually also have a ZIP program, which stands for zero interest program, and they'll lend you either 2 or 3% of the amount that you borrow. So you can use the My Home and the ZIP program together to get 5 or 6% to try to help you get in that property with less money out of pocket.
Okay, that's what I'm talking about. Let's get these guys in these homes, man. I'm
Yeah,
passionate about home ownership, man. I know it can literally change your life. So, what
it's
else we got going on in
yeah,
the lending world as far as programs?
yeah, it's life changing for sure. So those are the three big programs that we use.
Okay,
If somebody has prior military service, the VA loan program for veterans is probably one of the best loans you can get in the world. It's a zero down program. We're having a lot of success getting clients into contract. Over the last couple of years, it's been a little more difficult with those
right,
loans, but
right.
right now, Like people are taking VA offers, which is great because, it's good to support the people that have served the country. And then also, the USDA loan program is a little more specific. It only applies to certain areas, but that's another zero money down program that you can use to buy a house.
Man, you know what? I want to touch on that. We don't have to do it this episode, but let's put a pin in that and talk about those two programs on one of our next episodes, especially VA, also
Yeah.
USDA, because I get those questions a lot.
Yep.
And also, I appreciate you sharing that because, like what we're talking about right now, right? I mean, everybody knows that interest rates are up, but there's opportunity still out there. I mean, if you can take advantage of some of this money that they're still giving away, yeah, rates are a little higher than they were a couple of years back. Or let's just be honest. I mean, they're higher than they were a couple
Mm-hmm.
of years back. But increase in um, um, with the increase in homes that are currently on the market, when you can definitely find some properties now versus how it was when you had to beat out 3 to 5 people every time you were out there looking for a home. So for buyers, man, I say take advantage of it while you can, because we don't know how long this is going to last or if how good the economy is going to stay. You know, strike while it's hot. That's what I say.
Yeah, absolutely. I read an article yesterday. Here's a fun statistic for you. So last month in Sacramento, on average, homes sold for 2% less than the original list price. And if we rewind to the same month last year, homes sold on average for 3% more than the original list price. So there is definitely opportunity out there. Now, there are still properties that have multiple offers on them and things like
Offers.
that.
Yeah, of
Um, I
course.
I think 47% of the properties that sold last month had more than one offer, but there's opportunity around every corner.
Yeah, and I mean, come on, we understand. Competing against one person, you
Mhm.
might get what you might have a chance competing against 10 to 15. It definitely lowers your chance of getting to that home. So,
Yeah,
uh, hey, thanks for sharing that, man. So while we're on the good news, the show is the good, the bad, and the ugly. What's going
yeah.
on good right now in the mortgage industry?
With mortgage rates, so today's an interesting day to ask that question. So interest rates have been coming down a little bit for a little over a week. And, the Fed hiked the Fed funds rate last week. We touched on that a little bit. That's good to fight inflation. So it helps with mortgage rates. But
Hmm.
today, the jobs numbers came out. And for job creation, the markets were expecting a number around 200,000 new jobs.
Uh-huh.
Well, the number came out and there was 500,000 new jobs.
So
So
that's good news, right? Is that good news?
So there's two sides to it. I believe it is good news to have a healthy job market and people at work and things like that. Um, but it's kind of contradictory to what the Fed did and hired rates because that's going to fuel the inflation more. So it was bad for interest rates.
Yeah.
So although it's optimistic news, it's kind of bittersweet because rates came up about a quarter to an eighth of a percent just today. Um, so I mean, we're still not back up at 6% where we were in June, but they did come up a little bit today.
Man, so hey, I'm not an economist, and I'm definitely not gonna play one on Facebook Live, right? But
Yeah.
it just, I mean, you're right, and that's why we call it the good, the bad, the ugly, because
Hmm.
like you said, adding almost a 500,000 jobs in 1 month, that's incredible, right? That would be good, but
Hmm.
it could also be ugly for rates, right? That's what you're telling us right now, right? Because
Yeah.
it'll make it. It's almost it's weird because yeah, you want a strong job market, but as the inflation constantly can go up while people are spending. So to bring
Yeah.
that down, the feds go in on the rate, and um, it can mean something different.
Yeah. So it is good news. I think, if they were more accurate on the numbers and what the expectations were,
Hmm.
um, it's a good thing. But if that happened gradually, it would just be better, right? So when
Right.
something comes out that's unexpected, whether it's good or bad, it's just going to affect other things very quickly, right?
Exactly. So let's go into the while we're on. Let's talk about the bad. Um, so that is kind of good and bad. Also,
Yeah.
once again, this week in the last 7 days, we still had over 400 price reductions in Sacramento County. That's crazy, man.
Wow.
Yeah, and while that's bad for sellers, they're not getting as much as they thought they were going to get.
Mhm.
It's good for buyers, man. I mean, that's just more opportunity out there um, that buyers should be aware of and take advantage when they're out there looking, like you said, buy those duplexes, buy those single family homes. It's opportunity. So
Yeah.
that's a good.
Yeah. Yeah. It is good, right? Like you said, it goes two ways. But if we rewind time, like you said, in the last couple years, if you're up against 10 different people and you're wanting to use one of those down payment assistance programs, um, the chances of getting your offer accepted would probably be less, right? So with the market changing
Absolutely.
a little bit, it gives people an opportunity to be able to use those programs. And I mean, we're getting people in contract using those programs every month. So it's good. But then on the seller side, like you said, maybe not getting as much as you thought.
Right, right. But and like we talked about for those sellers, um, or if you're even thinking about selling right now,
Yeah.
like we talked about, if that's your first home, you might hold on to it, right? You might become a buyer. And what do I mean? You might hold on to it, like we discussed about starting your rental portfolio, holding on to that property, jumping into the buyer side and grabbing you up another property that you might not have had an opportunity to get a couple of years ago, right? Or 2 years ago, or even 6 to 8, 10 months ago.
Yeah, 10 months ago, 6 months ago, at the beginning of the year, it was still super hot. And yeah, you're completely right. If somebody has a house, if they've owned a house, if they have equity in that house, you can still, through different ways, access some of that equity to put down on the next place without actually selling it, right? You can do second mortgage, a home equity line of credit, a different refinance, and pull some of that money out to leverage into your new property.
Yeah, and if you guys are curious, I can definitely get you a list of homes. Just shoot me what you are thinking about. Email us what your criteria is, bedrooms, baths. We can take a look at that to see if it makes sense. I'm sure Ben won't mind running a scenario across so you know exactly how much money you need to do that, and we'll definitely help you out. Ben, while we're on that subject, how can they get in touch with you?
Yeah, so I've been trying to do a lot of video and educate people through my Instagram account. So if you're on Instagram, you can follow me at LendPro. That's LendPro. That's my Instagram account. You can contact me through there with a direct message or just check out the videos to learn a little bit more. Um, and yeah, like you said, we're more than happy to meet with pretty much anyone, anybody that this sounds appealing to you, even if it's not a today thing, we're more than happy to meet with you. And when I do that, I create, like you said, a presentation that shows you exactly what the payments are. So you'll know what the monthly payments are, you'll know what the down payment looks like. And from there, you can really look at your budget and decide if it's a right time for you. And if it's not the right time, no problem at all. But at least you have a goal that you can start working towards, right? Like whether it be saving up a certain amount of money or waiting until you're earning a certain wage at a job. It's all part of the process, and we're happy to educate people one on one.
Yes, sir. All right, man. We're getting close to the end, man. Let's end it with the ugly. What do you have for us, man? What do we
The
have?
ugly. Well, I would say, I mean, that the jobs number coming in so much off than what people thought. I'd say
Mhm.
that was ugly because, you know, it's good that there's lots of jobs, but at the same time, it's not good that people didn't anticipate this coming. And that's
Yeah,
why the stock market and the bond market reacted the way they did. And that's why interest rates came up, because a change of an eighth to a quarter% in one day, that's pretty substantial. I mean, we're still lower than we were in
agreed.
June, but it
Mhm.
was kind of ugly this morning.
Yeah, man, and that's definitely, the rise in interest rates are definitely going to slow
Hmm.
down, what we do because, it's pricing people out for some people, unfortunately, and that happens. Um,
Hmm.
Also, with the jobs report, it's keeping our clients working. So that's, we're cheering, but
Yeah.
the unexpected increase that they didn't expect, right? Anytime you have that, like you said, man, uncertainty is not good for the market, period.
Yep. And that, yeah, that's the bottom line.
So, man, ugly going on here is I was reading an article this week about the increase in foreclosures, man, and I just feel bad for people losing their home. The moratoriums are over,
Hmm.
and that increase, man, we got to keep an eye on that because who knows how much higher it can get. It's not like you said where it was pre pandemic levels, but they're
Right.
they're saying that it could reach that as soon as next year. So
Yeah.
anytime you lose, an asset like your home, man, that's that's a sad thing. That's 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 a sad thing. But
Yeah.
so that's my ugly news for the week.
Well, we cover it all, the good, bad, and the ugly. We're here to inform everyone, so that's part of the job.
Yes, sir. So I appreciate you, man, taking your time out again, joining us to take a look at the Sacramento Real Estate Show. Like we said, if you have any comments, we appreciate all your comments. If you have any questions, you can post them. I'll make sure, Ben, if you can. I don't know if I'm not a Facebook expert or nothing. Can you post your Instagram link on Facebook?
I think so. Yeah, I'll try to comment on the post and I'll leave it there in the comments. And then yeah, if you're listening, Len Pro on Instagram, and then Ben Johnston on Facebook. So I'll be sharing this video on my page too, so you might be able to find it that way.
Yes, sir. All right, man. Enjoy your weekend.
Yeah, you too, Eric. Thank you so much for putting this together and sharing your knowledge with everyone, man. It's really
Yes,
good.
sir. Thank you. You too, Ben. Have a good one, you guys.
All right, have a good weekend,
Peace.
everyone.